And at 10, Ian Rogers. When Steve Rogers got trapped in Dimension Z, he rescued a baby boy while he was trapped there. Since time moves faster in that dimension though, he ended up raising the boy for over 10 years. Sharon Carter ended up raising him for the remainder of his childhood when she was also trapped in Dimension Z after going there to rescue Steve. The boy was the son of Armin Zola, but he saw Steve Rogers and Sharon Carter as his parents. His birth name was Leopold Zola, but he goes by Ian Rogers now, the name that his true father gave him. By the time he left Dimension Z, Ian was a full-grown adult. He then took on the name Nomad and partnered with Sam Wilson. And at 9, Francis Barton. On Earth 555326, also known as the Next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow universe, Francis Barton was Clint Barton's son, who raised him to be a hero and helped the rebels known as the Scavengers, and Francis led them around Machine City after his father's death. When the children of the other deceased Avengers, James Rogers, Torunn, Hank Pym Jr., and Azari, arrived, he saved them from Ultron's forces, and James and his siblings followed Francis and the Scavengers to their home base. He told them that he was the surviving son of the original Hawkeye. Then Francis became infuriated when he realized that he wasn't the last Avenger, and angrily wondered the whereabouts of the others during his time of desperate survival. James reasoned that they didn't know of his existence, much like their fathers did, and James, the son of Captain America, and Francis often argued. At first he seemed cold and indifferent to his new friends, but as time passed, he showed himself to be just as much of a jokester and a flirt as Clint ever was. Which is kinda weird because they're kids. And at 8, Katie Summers. After the Earth was destroyed by a Celestial, survivors moved into another planet. Here, Havoc and Wasp get married and have a child, Catherine Summers. However, she was born a human, not a mutant, and thus would be subjected to persecution in an all-mutant world. Consequently, her existence was kept secret to only her parents and her godfather Hank McCoy. Years later, Kang appeared and forced Havoc to follow his plan by taking Katie away. Given her connection to the alpha-level mutant Havoc though, if they ever decided to retcon Katie, we can guess that at some point she'd develop a similar power set to Havoc. So if they ever decide to retcon her, she'll be pretty powerful. Havoc absorbs ambient cosmic energy into his cells of his body and processes it into plasma. This results in control over an extremely powerful sort of destructive force. And at times he's not entirely able to control this ability, which sometimes makes him a danger to those around him unless he wears a special containment suit to assist him. Havoc's body is also constantly in the process of absorbing cosmic radiation, so he can basically do it whenever. And given that superhero kids are usually more powerful than their parents, if they ever decide to retcon her, this is gonna be scary, okay? Look, I know that she's a human, but sometimes humans are the most powerful beings. She's also number 8, so chill.
Number 7. Torunn Thorsdottir. Torunn Thorsdottir is the daughter of Sif and Thor, who hails from the alternate future that we see in the animated series Next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow. In this reality, Torunn and the other young surviving heroes were kept safe by Iron Man and aided additionally by Hulk and Vision when it came to their battles and their training as young heroes. Young Avengers. Not Young Avengers though, Next Avengers. Young Avengers is a different thing. Torunn was basically sent to Midgard by her parents to learn the same lesson that Odin had sought to teach Thor by sending him away. She has all the powers of an Asgardian, being the daughter of Thor and Sif, and also seems to have lightning and thunder powers similar to her father. Number 6. Dina Thorsdottir. Dina hails from the MC2 reality of Earth 982. Here Dina is the daughter of Thor, although mysteriously we do not know who her mother is, which seems to be a recurring theme in a lot of Thor's kids. She ends up chasing down her cousin Silene, daughter of Loki, to attempt to stop her evil plot from succeeding and to rescue Kevin Masterson, son of Thunderstrike aka Eric Masterson, whom Silene had kidnapped. In the process, she runs into the new Avengers, also known via the comics as the Avengers Next Team, after a quick fight due to a misunderstanding. Dina would join with the Avengers, continuing to pursue Silene and successfully defeating her and rescuing Kevin in the end with their help. Dina is similar to Torunn in terms of her capabilities, but is more experienced, so she ranks a little higher for that reason. At least she seems more experienced to me. It's my opinion. Number 4. Modi. This is the Modi we talk about normally when we mention that name in conjunction with Thor's. He is the son of Thor and Hela, who in the reality of Earth 1610, also known as the Ultimate Universe, which he hails from, were not uncle and niece as they are in the main continuity of Earth 616 in the comics, and were not brother and sister either as they're known to be in the MCU reality of Earth 199999, sometimes referred to cinematically as Earth 616, which is super confusing for us because, you know, 616 is the main comic book continuity, so what are we doing with that? Thor made a deal with Hela to give her a child so that he might once more return to Valkyrie's side on Earth. Eventually, he would be allowed to return to Earth, but only after Valkyrie had died. Modi was the son that would be born from this deal and would be gifted in magics and was capable of teleportation. He was also able to wield Mjolnir. Instead of being a hero like most of Thor's alt-reality kids, Modi tends to be more villain in the 1610 universe. Must be Hela's influence.
And at 3, Hulk Gang. The Hulk Gang is a gang of hillbilly Hulks who are the result of Hulk impregnating his first cousin's She-Hulk, though not willingly, might I add. Most of the Hulk Gang members though are grandchildren of Bruce Banner, who have become run-of-the-mill thugs, beating or killing people when they don't pay their rent on time. When the Hulk Gang found Logan and he didn't have his money to pay the rent for his farm, its members Bobby Joe, Charlie, and Otis Banner paid a visit to him and punished him for missing a payment. Shortly before leaving though, they said that he had to pay double next month, otherwise they would kill him and his family. However, while Logan was away delivering a package with Hawkeye to get the money that he actually owed them, the Hulk Gang got bored and murdered his family. Once Logan returned home and learned about what happened in his absence from his neighbor Abraham, he went after the Hulk Gang and killed all of the members that he actually encountered, including Bobby Joe, Charlie, Otis, Rufus, Woody, Bo, Elrod, Eustace, and Luke Banner. So attaboy Logan. But ultimately, in at number 2, Vivian Vision. Viv was a synthezoid created by the Vision in his process to humanize himself through the creation of a family. The brainwaves of Viv and her twin brother Vin come from the combination of the brain patterns of Vision and Virginia, Viv and Vin's mother and Vision's wife. The Visions moved to Arlington, Virginia in order to facilitate Vision becoming the Avengers' White House liaison, but I also kind of find that funny. Vision, Virginia, Viv, and Vin moved to Virginia. Come on. The family though became instant celebrities with their neighbors, constantly seeking pictures and then them posting them online. This caught the attention of Eric Williams, who became upset that Vision would create a family that appeared to be happy, when the Williams family wasn't, which, I mean, like, what? That's like getting mad at an Instagram model for faking her life. As well as the fact that the Vision's brainwaves were taken from his brother Simon in the first place. Both Viv and Finn attended school at the Alexander Hamilton High School in Fairfax, but they were assigned different schedules to help them assimilate with their classmates. Considering how I previously said that Ultron assimilated a whole load of robots, you kinda have to admit the word assimilate their classmates is kinda setting off a few red flags here. And finally, in at number 1, Lyra. The daughter of Thundra, the Empress of the United Sisterhood, and the Incredible Hulk on Earth 8009, Lyra was gifted with the strength of her parents and trained as an elite warrior for the Sisterhood in their fight against men. But, unlike the other Gamma mutants, Lyra secretly grew weaker the angrier she got. Lyra was called by the Gynosure to head a secret mission, one not even her select band of warrior compatriots were aware of. The Sisterhood's cradle was malfunctioning, causing defective births, and without a replacement circuitry, it would be the end of the Sisterhood's ability to replenish their numbers, eventually leading to their extinction. Lyra was armed with Boudica, a wristwatch with an artificial intelligence linked to both the Sisterhood and Gynosure at all times, and sent to the men's cradle to steal the appropriate parts to repair their own cradle. When a traitor turned on Lyra at the request of the Gynosure, the replacement parts were destroyed in their fight. Lyra returned to Gynosure to confront her for her treachery, but was then sent to Earth 616 to seek out the great Norman Osborn and breed with him. Man, Norman Osborn, man. And at 10, Ultron 1320. Ultron 1320 comes to us from Earth 14622 and What If Age of Ultron number 1, an Earth where thanks to Wasp dying, Ultron is able to take over the world faster. Ultron was created to be the ultimate AI by Hank Pym to help the Avengers utilize their function better as a team. But with the untimely death of Pym's wife, Pym went on to create a more brutal version of Ultron, which was to replace the Avengers, which makes him technically the son of Hank Pym. So he's viable for this list, okay? But since he's a robot, I'm putting him at the top. Don't worry, that's why he's here. But with this, Ultron's sentience began to constantly evolve, and he started the eradication of the human race by taking out such threats as the Avengers and the Defenders, while he left Pym alive to just watch everyone suffer. Ultron and his army of Ultron Sentinels then moved to Kola, Russia, so he could bore himself into the planet's core to create the ultimate version of himself, Ultron 1320. Ultron then had his minions batter and beat Pym unconscious until he woke up to find himself turned into Ultron 1321. This version also invaded other worlds, claiming Earth 62412, 23223, and 81223, but before being stopped on Earth 45162. That's a lot of numbers. And at 9, Wiccan. Billy Kaplan, also known by his superhero aliases Asgardian and Wiccan, is a superpowered warlock and the reincarnated son of the Scarlet Witch. He has spent time on numerous superhero teams including the Young Avengers and the New Avengers, and after Wiccan's powers overloaded during a battle with the Sons of the Serpent, the Avengers decided to keep him under observation. Hulkling and the other Young Avengers broke Wiccan out of holding and began to search for the Scarlet Witch. Accompanied by Magneto and Quicksilver, the team traveled to Transia and then to Latveria before discovering a depowered and amnesiac Wanda engaged to Doctor Doom. The rediscovery of Wanda did not go unnoticed though, as the Avengers soon arrived on the scene. Iron Lad teleported the Young Avengers and Wanda into the time stream, and they all went into the past and met a reanimated Jack of Hearts who was about to explode. After that, Wanda remembered who she was, regained her powers, and returned herself, the Young Avengers, and Scott Lang to the present. She then finally confirmed that Billy and Tommy were indeed her reincarnated sons, a story that seemingly will be adapted into the MCU come Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. In at 7, Azari T'Challa. Azari is the son of Black Panther and Storm. He was taken to safety by Iron Man along with James Rogers, Torunn, and Henry Pym Jr. to keep them all safe from Ultron. Azari, along with his other siblings, only knew of the Avengers through Tony's tales of their former glory days, and as the son of the Black Panther and Storm, Azari inherited their powers and abilities of the heart-shaped herb from his father, enhanced speed, agility, strength, endurance, healing, and senses. He also inherited the powers and abilities of electrokinesis from his mother. One day while he was playing hide and seek with Pym, the Vision arrived at the refuge. Tony tells everyone to wait in James's room until he tells them otherwise. While Azari is fine with waiting, the others aren't, and he fails at convincing them to wait as Tony instructed. When he failed, he and his siblings found a secret entrance to a repair bay under their parents' grave markers. As they searched, they found a room full of Iron Man style robots who resembled each of their parents. While James and Torunn lingered, Azari and Pym kept moving and managed to find Tony and the strange robot, which is actually the Vision. And then all the Avenger robots end up waking up, and then they go to fight Ultron as their programming intended, so then there's a whole kerfuffle. It's when they meet Francis Barton. Halfway through into number 5, Groot. Okay, so this is a pretty weird one, I have to admit. But technically speaking, baby Groot is the offspring of Groot. And while yes, he is also just Groot, baby and teen Groot are younger versions of Groot, and that's basically what a child is. Just a younger version of yourself. And while this may have been a asexually produced offspring, so what? This counts in my book. And while you may consider Groot a guardian of the galaxy and not an Avenger, he served as an Avenger for a time in both the comics and in the MCU. So you can back off, boy. Okay? This is a very meta number, I know, but we've included clones on lists like these before. This is close enough, it's fine with me. Kids are basically clones, we've talked about actual clones, so deal with it. And at 4, Sarah Rogers. In an alternate world where the heroes and villains assembled for the Secret Wars never left Battle World, the location of the conflict, the combatants called a truce and settled down to raise families. Sarah Rogers was actually the daughter of Steve Rogers, Captain America, and the X-Men Rogue. In this reality, Rogue was referred to as Carol, indicating that the stolen psyche of the Avenger Carol Danvers was in control of Rogue's body, and given Sarah's existence, had learned to control Rogue's powers enough to conceive a child. Malefactor Vincent Von Doom, the son of Doctor Doom, tried to take over the battle world and return to Earth in order to follow in his father's footsteps and conquer it, because of course. But Sarah led her fellow young heroes to stop Vincent, and along the way grabbed Mjolnir, proving her worthiness to wield the enchanted hammer. So, as a kid, yeah, you're on the list, don't worry. In at 3, Red She-Hulk. A mysterious female version of Red Hulk first appeared when the Red Hulk had gathered a team of mercenaries to hunt down Domino. After this group, called Code Red, not sponsored by Mountain Dew, found Domino, Wolverine slashed his claws across Red Hulk's face, blinding him until his healing factor restored his eyesight. Wolverine was about to deliver the killing blow to Red Hulk when Red She-Hulk appeared, blindsiding him. Red She-Hulk protected Red Hulk long enough in challenging Wolverine. However, just as Red Hulk began to trust Red She-Hulk, she double-crossed him and plunged Elektra's stolen Psy into his neck. Code Red were gathered in the sewers and awaited orders from Samson. Their encounter ended with Red She-Hulk kicking Red Hulk off the Empire State Building. She was then captured by Hank Pym, but her identity was finally revealed when she was stabbed with a sword by Skaar and reverted to her human form, revealing her to be Betty, Thaddeus Ross, aka Red Hulk's daughter. And Red She-Hulk has gone toe-to-toe with Hulk in a battle that resulted in both of them dying before being brought back by a wish that Hulk had made earlier. So yeah, pretty powerful. See, I know if someone has tussled with the Hulk to put him higher on this list now, since y'all can't let go. But ultimately, and at number 2, Skaar. Skaar was the progeny of Hulk and Sierra the Old Strong. After Ciara's death, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, a cocoon containing Skaar fell into the Lake of Fire. After a period of time, Skaar emerged from this cocoon, appearing to be the age of a human boy. A year later, he appeared to have grown into a young adult, and spent time in the swamps with old Sam, who attempted to raise, teach, and guide him after he discovered him shortly after the Shadow People burned tattoos into his skin. It took old Sam months to get him to wear a loincloth and speak, although to be fair, it would have also taken him a few months to get me to wear a loincloth. As the son of the Hulk though, Skaar presumably possesses the capacity for vast, if not limitless levels of physical strength among other capabilities, ones which are either fueled by intense anger like his father or via channeling the old power. Once having absorbed 100 trillion tons of kinetic energy from a city to fight the Hulk, he sent Juggernaut flying into space with ease, punching beings miles away, just a lot. And not only that, but thanks to his mother, Skaar also possesses the powers of the Shadow People, known as the Old Power, which allows him to connect to and manipulate the planet's energies, basically giving him lava and earthbending skills. Finally, in at number 1, Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards is the son of Reed and Sue Richards of the world-renowned Fantastic Four, who, like I said, were at one point working alongside the Avengers, and who were deemed Avengers for a couple missions, so I'm counting it. Basically, the frickin' Celestials have deemed this kid to be beyond Omega level on the scale of mutant-based powers, so yeah. A future version of Franklin came back to our present and managed to bend Galactus to his will, making Galactus Franklin's herald, which I think speaks for itself. This kid is able to tear the universe apart with a single thought, probably making him the scariest damn toddler on the face of this planet. And that's coming from someone who already thinks toddlers are scary, okay? You should have seen that one kid who tried to stab me with safety scissors. It was certainly an interesting Tuesday afternoon. And in the book History of the Marvel Universe, Franklin Richards is revealed to apparently survive the end of his universe and pass on to the next one, like Galactus did, which is freaking insane.
Number 10, Amora and Thor hybrid clones. One of the only children, if you want to call them that Thor actually has in the main continuity were actually genetically engineered by a man named Price, who was a scientist. A mad scientist, I would say. A scientist who ate one too many mushrooms and then had a vision of Yggdrasil. Because of his vision, he believed that after Ragnarok, a new superior race of beings would come into existence, and after getting genetic samples from both Amora and Thor, created clones of those two people together, who for some reason were all male, but anyways. They had no individual names, but were simply known as Price's clones. He created them to help him build the world engine, which would usher in the new superior race meant to come into existence following Ragnarok, as per Price's vision. There is also a lot of romantic tension in this story between Thor and Amora, where they both end up confronting Price and his creations. Also, all of them are bald, which I feel like if they're Thor and Amora clones, I feel like they should have lots of hair. In my mind. Both of those people got lots of hair. Number 9, Modi the Angry. This Modi is the son of a past version of Thor, so not the Thor that we know from 616, but technically this Modi would be from 616. He is one of the few survivors of a past Ragnarok event. The Eye of Odin tells main continuity Thor about this tale, showing him the Ragnarok that had happened and a past version of Thor's place in it. While this past version of Thor died in a fight against the serpent, he was survived by his two sons, one of which was Modi. We don't know much about Modi, we don't even seem to know who his mother was. Technically, Modi is the son of a past Thor, but all versions of Thor's children are welcome on this list, so that's why we can count them. Especially as in the main continuity, Thor, like I said, doesn't really have kids. Not even in the comics. A lot of them are alt kids from alternate realities. Modi has bright red hair and seems to be armed with daggers. While we don't know much, we do know he was strong enough to survive Ragnarok, which completely ravaged the Nether Realms. And that's pretty impressive. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you're loving our channel, please head on over to our Facebook page, where you can also show us your love by clicking that like and clicking that follow. Whoa, 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 whoa. Number 8, Magni the Stronger. This Magni is another son of past Thor, who also makes his first appearance alongside his brother Modi in the original Thor series in issue 293. Where Modi is known as the Angry, Magni is known as the Strong. Throughout the various alternate universes we've seen, scene, Magni would become a more preferred name as well for Thor's potential children. Well, one of the preferred names. There's a couple. Whether it be a past version of Thor or possibly a future version of Thor, Magni is a name that we will see again. Like Modi, Magni also is one of the few to survive Ragnarok despite the destruction of the Nether Realms, which, as I said, is pretty dang impressive because, yeah, Ragnarok usually kills everybody. Also, Magni and Modi both prove together in the following issue that they are both strong enough of will to resist the temptation to use their father's hammer Mjolnir to rule over the other surviving Asgardians, and that they are strong enough of might to hurl it away from them all the way through space and down to Midgard with a single mighty toss. It's a joint toss, but still, that's pretty impressive to me. That's a far throw.
And at 7, Scotty Summers. Hailing from Earth 1298, Scotty is Alex Summers and Madeline Pryor's son. Scotty, as he came to be known, was born to the mutant superhero Havoc and his then girlfriend Madeline. Sometime after his birth, his mom and dad got married and they moved in with the reformed X-Factor. As a child, he showed no signs of exceptional power and enjoyed a normal life until the Inferno event. During Inferno, he was captured by a couple demons who planned to use him as a sacrifice to open up the world to the malevolent Goblin Force. Alone and afraid, he was rescued by his mother Madeline, who brokered a deal with the demons in exchange for her son's life. He returned home with her, and the demons and the nightmare it seemed were over. But when Havoc of Earth 616 wound up in his counterpart in the Mutant X's reality's dead body, Scott immediately recognized that this Havoc was not truly his father. This was the first hint at the scope of young Scotty's power. When his mother was possessed by the Goblin Queen, Scotty was also taken by his father and their nanny, the ninja assassin Elektra. The three became like a family themselves, and Scotty even bonded with his new father. Eventually, Scotty during the battle was captured along with Havoc by the evil entity, but he knew that he was in the right place at the right time, and incidentally knew exactly what to do to end the fight. With a simple touch, he managed to defeat the Goblin Queen, who was possessing his mother at the time. But yeah, it's pretty overpowered. I guess you could say that Scotty doesn't know about his powers. And at 6, Vision. The MCU Vision is in essence the son of Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, Ultron, and Thor, which is honestly a really weird combination. Or if you want to get more technical, I guess Thor and Ultron are closer to his parents, with like Tony and Bruce basically being his grandparents, aside from the whole using Jarvis to make Vision thing. So I guess technically, by that logic, Tony is also Vision's father and grandfather. What? Either way, powered by an advanced AI and the Mind Stone, Vision is probably one of the most powerful Avengers until he was killed in Infinity War at the hands of Wanda and then Thanos, which was a stupid idea as we saw thanks to Ultron Z's with Thanos in the What If series on Disney+, where using the Mind Stone, Ultron just literally tore Thanos in half, which is probably what Vision could have done, resulting in one of the most frustrating moments of the entire MCU to me. But oh well, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I think that with the Mind Stone he is certainly powerful, but his reluctance to use it to kill Thanos puts him higher on the list, as well as, you know, the whole being mostly dead thing. Halfway through in at number 5, Valeria Richards. Valeria Richards is the second son of Dr. Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, and Susan Richards, aka the Invisible Woman, who did serve as Avengers for a couple missions. Due to her parents being exposed to cosmic radiation and being conceived in the negative zone, it caused her birth to be traumatic. But thanks to her uncle, Dr. Doom, he saved her life using a combination of science and magic. She was born a standard human and developed a genius-level intellect like her father. But as an unborn infant, when she was approaching term, she began to emit bursts of deadly radiation that threatened both her and her mother. Despite bringing in fellow scientists and radiation experts like Bruce Banner, Michael Morbius, and Otto Octavius, Reed Richards was unable to save his daughter, who appeared to be stillborn. Appearances can be deceiving though. Franklin Richards, the couple's first child, felt a deep loss over his sister, because, you know, he didn't have a sister anymore. Unconsciously though, he secretly used his psionic powers to transport this daughter to an alternate reality. After Franklin's cosmic powers were depleted during a battle to save all reality, Valeria reverted to an unborn child within Sue's womb. So all of a sudden, she was pregnant with Valeria again. Yeah, Sue then came to term, but again her life was threatened by bursts of radiation from the child. However, this time Johnny Storm enlisted the aid of Dr. Doom, who was able to save her, but not without a price.
Number 3. Woden Thorson. Woden Thorson is the son of Thor and Sif from the 31st century. In this alternate take on the future appearing in Guardians of the Galaxy and known as Earth 691, Woden would suffer initially from having an absent father. Thor could basically not give up adventuring, leaving Sif mainly alone to parent their son. It wasn't until Thor was forced to stay home by Odin that Woden became a potential heroic figure, learning from his father and actually taking pride in his heritage and his people as he learned more about them from Thor. Although why Sif wasn't able to instill this in Woden herself, also being a warrior from Asgard, I'm not really sure, but hey, sometimes I guess you just need your dad around, you know, that's fine. Thor would spend more and more time at the Mead Hall, prompting Woden to leave home. However, he would later return after Loki and his Inhuman army had taken over, and he returned to fight against his evil uncle. Loki would be defeated by Woden, who wielded Mjolnir in the battle, as well as father was no longer worthy to lift the hammer. Woden was. Number 2. Magni. This Magni is typically the one that we talk about when we are talking about the son of Thor, Magni. So usually when people say that, they're talking about this one. Like I said, there's a lot of repeating of names when it comes to alternate kids. It's great. It's a little confusing, but it's great. He hails from the alternate future reality of Earth 3515, which was erased from existence at the behest kind of Magni. The future Allfather Thor, who had Magni with his queen Amora, the Enchantress, ended up traveling back in time to warn his past self about everything that would come to pass should he rule over Midgard, which is also something that happened in this future and sent Thor down a pretty dark path. Thor of the present listened to the warning of his future self and heeded it, preventing this Magni from ever really existing. When he did exist though, Magni was considered to be similar to Thor in his abilities, but he was also believed to be even stronger physically than Thor had been, being known as the God of Strength. Magni was also capable of wielding Mjolnir in his lifetime. His short lifetime. R.I.P. Number 1. Starbrand. While not a child of his or Iron Man's loins, Brandy Selby became the adopted goddaughter of Thor in issue 32 of the 2018 Avengers series. He promised to take care of her after the Avengers, as he saw it, failed her mother, who died in childbirth. Thor especially felt bad as he had succumbed to being possessed by the Brood at that time, and really wasn't much help to the team when they came across the previous Starbrand, Suzanne, Brandy's mother, who went into labor. She gave birth to a healthy baby girl, but didn't survive the delivery herself. She passed on her Starbrand to her unnamed baby as she died, who was later named Brandy by the Avengers, who basically took Brandy in and kinda like did their best to raise her, Thor included. Kind of, I think, a pretty fun story. Lately, she's gone through a dramatic age up in the comics, which has also seen her come more into her own when it comes to controlling her power and tapping into its full potential. And if you didn't know, the Starbrand is pretty amazingly powerful when we're talking about cosmic power forces. It's pretty nuts. A lot Brandy could do with that for sure. A lot of harm, a lot of good, a lot of stuff.